this how we should operate moving forward?
How about this takeaway? You can never bet Victor Wembanyama until further notice to win an NBA award. I had that dialogue last night with a friend of ours. Right now, looking at him plus 350, 4-1 or whatever to come back and win the award, I don't want it. I mean, with how much time he missed last year, with how tall he is, and now into his brief career, this is going to be, he's on the shelf yet again. That's a hard pass for me.
All right, here we go. Another edition of Pod to the Futures. Mitchell Moss alongside Jonathon von Tobel, and we've got a doozy today. Big news in the association with the injury to one Victor Wembanyama. Updates, of course, to the NFL futures and more. Mitch, it is a gloomy week out here in Sin City and a gloomy week for Wemby futures holders as he is going to be down for the foreseeable future with a calf strain. The update in the official report from Shams Charania yesterday, source tells ESPN that he's going to be sidelined for a few weeks due to a left calf strain. He will be, and this is a key word for our audience here, reevaluated in 2 to 3 weeks. He will not return. He will be reevaluated in 2 to 3 weeks. That is huge. So I want to set this up before I get to you and your thoughts on this to give some ground as to what we're looking at here. Victor has already missed a game. So with that, if we assume reevaluation, let's just say in 2 weeks, plus a ramp up, which they will always do, you're talking about missing an additional 10 games. So that would mean for the rest of the season, Victor Wembanyama would have to miss no more than 6 games to be qualified and to stay inside of this 65-game minimum for awards. So I'll ask you, Mitch, to open it up. First off, to say hello, but the second, say, are we not eliminating Victor Wembanyama at this point from award contention? Is this how we should operate moving forward?
How about this takeaway? You can never bet Victor Wembanyama until further notice to win an NBA award.
Ooh.
I had that dialogue last night with a friend of ours. He brought it up, and I concurred. Right? The numbers are going to be tantalizing, like the MVP stuff. I mean, right now, looking at him plus 350, 4-1 or whatever to come back and win the award, I don't want it. I mean, with how much time he missed last year, with how tall he is, and now into his brief career, this is going to be, he's on the shelf yet again. That's a hard pass for me. So
I can't disagree, by the way. Just go ahead. I would say I cannot disagree.
However, now, when that does, quote, open up Defensive Player of the Year, it is my most hated award in all of sports.
Is this you? So this is your most improved?
Oh, absolutely this is.
For listeners who are just joining us, most improved is my hated award that I despise. So this is your most improved. Okay, I like it.
Yeah, because voters are out of their minds with this award. The year they gave it to Marcus Smart was beyond preposterous. And I had Marcus Smart at a big number. He was not the Defensive Player of the Year. He wasn't the best defensive player or the most impactful player on his team defensively. That was Robert Williams. Number 2, Jaren Jackson got robbed. I believe it was probably the same year. Then it was a make good to him. What happened last year when Wemby went down? The big push for Draymond Green was so asinine, it made me want to break things. And then they gave it to Evan Mobley by default. Evan Mobley? Under no circumstance was he the Defensive Player of the Year last year. None. And yet he won the award. So with this, I'm going to tread lightly. I did dive back in a little bit after the news. But I will actually say this, thank goodness, 2 different sports books I got down at only took very small bets. And I'm okay with that because I took some long shots and the paydays would be, I would welcome them. But I'm also not going to, if I lose these bets on the players that I got down on, I'm not going to be that mad because it's really not that much money.
Yeah. So I think before we get to some of those bets, the way I wanted to start this conversation was to kind of dissect and potentially cut down the guys at the top. I mean, because we kind of have to ask the question of like, okay, with such a big piece now off the board, is the rearranging of the available pieces accurate? Is it correct? And I would argue no. So first off, if we're operating under the assumption that Wembanyama is not going to be in contention for these awards, his place at plus 450 is inaccurate. It is incorrect. The probability of him winning that award is next to 0 if we're assuming that he's not going to meet the threshold of 65 games played, which I think at this point is very fair. Also in Shams' report, it should be noted, he said that the Spurs are willing to slow roll this, I'm paraphrasing that, and take their time with his help. So that to me screams, not only is my man going to take probably all 3 weeks until he gets reevaluated, he also already is probably going to be sitting back-to-backs, things of that nature. I don't think he's going to be in there. So with that, Chet Holmgren is your new favorite at plus 150. These are numbers courtesy of DraftKings. Shop around. I think it makes sense that he would be the favorite. I don't think he should be that big of a favorite, but I think it makes sense that he would be the favorite. And Evan Mobley is at 4-1. Dyson Daniels is at 9-1. I wanted to start with Holmgren. How do we handle him and the extending dynamic of the Oklahoma City Thunder having 3 or 4 players who could all be considered the best defenders at their respective positions?
It's a great question. By the way, will Chet even qualify and play 65 games?
It's a fair point.
Don't know if that's going to happen. Like, I'm not betting him at this point. There's absolutely no chance. And for people who were grabbing him when Wemby was healthy, you might have something here. Oklahoma City is going to run away, and they are already, JVT, with the best defensive numbers as a team in the league. Nobody's going to be close. And the drop from 1 to 2, the second best defensive team, is bigger than like the drop from number 2 to number 20 in the entire league. So they dominate these teams. They're better last year, and I think they're going to be full season defensively as well. So just in case there isn't a great candidate this year, that's the team that I attacked this award with by taking some long shots. And they have great guys. You're exactly right. But I can't bet Chet Holmgren right now plus 135.
Mm-hmm.
So I took SGA at a huge number. There might be he was so good defensively, and like 2 people in the nation talked about it. Nobody was like on him, and he deserved much more praise for his defensive work last year. But if he doesn't win the MVP, maybe the defensive end will pick up some steam this year. I also bet Hartenstein and Cason Wallace, who leads the league in steals per game and has been one of the catalysts defensively for OKC. So I took big numbers on those 3 guys. What did you do?
So I did not touch a Thunder player, at least not in terms of like the plays that I've made. I have 2 so far, and I think I'm going to add a third as I was looking into some of the numbers right before we were coming on. I think it makes sense that you would look in that direction. I do wonder. So again, part of this is, I preface what I'm about to say with handicapping awards is handicapping what media members think about these guys and what they say. Folks at ESPN, specifically like a Tim McMahon who has covered like that area of the country. He's got like the Thunder, the Mavericks, all those, those sort of, Texas, South, Midwestish teams. And part of the narrative from a season ago, to your point about Shea not getting serious consideration for Defensive Player of the Year, is that according to people that cover that team, not even the Thunder believe that Shea's like their top 3 defenders. And I think that permeates amongst those who vote for the award. And so it might be tough for him to potentially win it because of that perception. Not that he's a bad defender, but it's just that he is not considered the most important cog defensively for that team.
Yeah, and that's where I get caught up in that, and also compared to like counting stats, because his counting stats, well, will they be there? I would assume yes, but he also might play 28 minutes a game this year because they just kill everybody.
Well, again, he sat out third quarter again, or excuse me, a fourth quarter again. So that might be something that really kills him. So I think that Holmgren's there. I think it's a great shout that he is potentially not going to play enough games. I think your leading potential candidate that was a big name once Wembanyama went down last year again has already missed 6 games so far this year, Lou Dort. So he's probably not going to be available to win the award, one would assume, in terms of games already missed.
Right.
So Holmgren makes sense to the way you attacked it. I think does make some sense. And you're never going to get me to say a bad thing about Cason Wallace. I freaking love Cason Wallace.
Mm-hmm.
He's great. The way that I thought, we're looking at this, and I want to get this out of the way too, I think Evan Mobley is a mistake being priced the way that he's at. Because to your point, he got the award by default last year. You look at some of the counting stats for him. I mean, it's fine. The steals are there in the blocks. 1.6 blocks, 1.2 steals. 8.8 rebounds per game, 6.2 of those are defensively per contest. Where it gets me is the advanced metrics. If you like some of the tracking data, it doesn't really come off the page for you for Mobley. When he's on the floor, Cavs 111.7 defensive rating. That's 78th percentile. That's above average, but that's not sexy. And when he's off the court, they're in the 48th percentile, 115.8. So there's not like a dramatic difference between him being on the court and off the court. For Dyson Daniels, he needs to put up the steal numbers that he did last year, and he's nowhere near that at this point right now. Some of the other counting stats for him, he's at 2.3 steals. They're actually, and this is, again, how you measure these things. There's noise in these numbers, but it matters. They are exponentially better when he's off the court defensively so far this year. 114.3 defensive rating on the court for Dyson Daniels, a 110 flat when he's off the court. So you go from the 57th percentile to the 84th percentile when you're not on the floor. So the reason why I bring all these up is I think I want to draw a line through the top 3 or 4 guys and just say, all right, like now is the time to lay some stakes and to see this is not an accurately priced market. Where can we go? So I have two names for you, and then I want to get yours as well. The first of which is, and maybe this opens a can of worms, Rudy Gobert for the Minnesota Timberwolves. As I say that for our audience, Mitch smirks a little bit. Rudy Gobert, he's 50-1. 9.6 rebounds per game, 6.6 defensively, 1.8 blocks. He's tied for fifth in blocks per game, 0.6 steals, whatever. He's not going to do a ton of that. This is the big one for him right now. When he is on the floor, the Minnesota Timberwolves allow 107.3 points per 100 possessions. That is good for the 91st percentile. The rebuttal would be, well, John, they have a lot of good defenders. So far this year, you could have fooled me. Because when he's off the floor, they give up 127.1 points per 100 possessions. That is the 4th percentile. In other words, they give up nearly 20 more points every 100 possessions with Rudy Gobert off the floor so far this year. That is staggering. He's got the rebound numbers. He's got the blocks so far. And most importantly, Mitch, he has the respect of these voters. And that is always what matters for Defensive Player of the Year. So Rudy Gobert, 50-1. And then I'll list this other one off real quick before I give you another long shot.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead. What do you want to respond to Gobert?
Go ahead. I'm in with Gobert. I grabbed a little bit of him as well based on your text earlier today. And I'm fine at this number. If he was 8-1, I'm not going to touch it.
Yeah.
But I'm also, just to push back for 1 second, or actually maybe ask you this question instead. Yes, the media does love him. However, what about the negative reaction that he got the year that he won it 2 years ago and he ran away with the award over Victor Wembanyama when he was a rookie, and I thought he deserved it then? And Shaq and everybody on TNT, they were blasting Gobert because he was so bad in the playoffs.
I think that might be something to it, but I would also say that these analytics nerds and journalists today are somewhat, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, they're willing to kind of stick it to a lot of people who they believe aren't smart. Is that a way to phrase it? Like, they don't really care for the most part. And I think that might be part of it potentially, but I also think at the same time, when you are seeing this dramatic difference, not just in the numbers, but the way they actually play, it's going to be hard to ignore for him. And again, we have a lot of basketball left to be played, so who knows what's going to happen with that team as you move forward. But at 50-1, like you said, for a guy that's won it multiple times and has a respect to the guys and gals who decide the award, I think there's worse shots to take than at 50-1.
Okay. As you're talking, by the way, I have more players in my brain looking at some more numbers. So go ahead. Give me your other guy, and I'm going to throw something at you.
Okay. Jalen Suggs at 150-1. So Suggs, okay, we got a good smile. Is that one of your dudes?
Well, no, because you texted me something earlier today, and you said guess the player, and my response was Jalen Suggs.
Okay, so that's on my list, but that was not the profile that I sent you.
Right.
So Suggs is on the list. Maybe you have some of these numbers. 1.6 steals per game. Look, the rebounds and the blocks aren't going to be there. He's a guard, whatever. Have you looked up the on-court, off-court splits for him?
No.
When the Magic have Jalen Suggs on the floor, 104.1 defensive rating. That is good for the 96th percentile. When he is off the court, 119.7 defensive rating. That is the 15th or 25th percentile. So again, for like simplicity's sake, they give up about 15.5 more points per 100 possessions when Suggs is off the floor. That's pretty good.
Okay.
Now, he's a perimeter player. He's not going to put up the steal numbers that Dyson Daniels put up last year, and that barely had Dyson Daniels in contention for the award. But given the dramatic splits and where this team has been in terms of defensively, they haven't played particularly well at times, especially at the beginning of the year. I think he is going to be, if we're talking about a perimeter player that's a long shot, that's one of the guys I'd rather have a small ticket on. The other problem is he's already missed 4 games. So again, we always have to consider this. They haven't been strung together, but he has been inactive for 4 games, including this last one against Houston over the weekend. So we'll see what happens with him. He's questionable tonight. If he misses another game tonight, then you're kind of flirting with some danger. But I think Suggs at 150-1 is worth having.
Okay. So I want to throw one other team at you.
Okay.
And just to see what your thought process might be, on grabbing a player or two on the second best defensive team in the league as of right now, the Detroit Pistons, who could be the 1 seed in the Eastern Conference.
Who would you add? Because I think there's a specific name, but he's already missed some time as well.
Would it only be Asur Thompson?
Yeah.
It's not going to be Isaiah Stewart, who's like top 5 in blocks right now. It's not going to be Ronald. It's not going to be anybody else. Not Holland, anybody else, right? It would only be Thompson.
I mean, I think so. To your point, though, about Beef Stew, one of the best names in basketball. We've heard voters say that that defensive player of the year should be a front court player. So,
yeah.
So there's going to be, if you're putting up good enough counting stats, then you're going to be in a position where some of these old school voters who just refuse to evaluate perimeter defenders in any way, shape, or form are going to be in a position where you're just going to get votes by default because you're pretty good in terms of blocking shots, whatever it is. I would say with Stewart, while the blocks have been great, like you mentioned, 2.2 per game, he's not rebounding as well as some of these other guys, like 6.3 rebounds per game, only 5 defensively. How much does that affect him when some of these voters are evaluating him from that standpoint? So that would leave me a little bit of pause, but I think that it makes some sense if you did want to go in that direction.
There's also this. He's averaging fewer than 23 minutes per game.
Yeah.
Like, that's not going to be a recipe for success here down the road.
Remember, that's why we didn't win Jaren Jackson Jr. all those years ago.
Yeah.
Because, and now part of it was foul trouble, but and that's, by the way, I mean, Stewart's averaging over 3 fouls a game, so that's going to be troublesome for him too. It's that he didn't play enough minutes and the fouls left it were constantly in trouble, so we can't vote for him. And thus that might undercut Stewart a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I got one more for you if you want it.
Of course.
Okay. This one, the stats aren't as dramatic. The counting stats might help you out. So on the court, you're giving up 114.3 points per 100 possessions. Good for 57th. Not great. However, the dramatic difference when you're off the court here, 122.1 points allowed per 100 possessions. So you give up about 8 more points per 100 possessions. You go from the 57th percentile to the 15th percentile. Counting stats, averaging 9 rebounds per game and 1.4 blocks with 0.7 steals. Donovan Clingan at 80-1.
Interesting. Okay. He's going to have a lot of blocks. There's no question about that at the end of the year.
It's almost like Rudy Gobert light, where like it's just like let's just funnel it into the 7-footer, and let's just hope he can test shots and can block them and wall off the rim. And the numbers of him, like we talked about on the court, while it's not like dramatic in terms of how good you are, in what you're looking at in terms of like rim percentage, things like that. When Donovan Clingan's on the floor, teams are shooting just 59% at the rim. Oh. That's 92nd percentile among lineups. Like some of those metrics are going to help him out a lot. And I don't know, like I think that was one where when I was looking up all of these dudes and these front court players, I think that's the one that I kind of looked at. It was like, this might be the strongest leg, if you will, of these 3 long shots, even though the odds don't reflect it. 50, 80, and 150-1. Clingan, I think, is going to be one that's going to be up there.
Well, okay. Is he definitely the best defender on their team so far this year? A guy that I made a note of to enter the season with and maybe attack this market, and I decided not to just because I hate it so much, and Wemby was going to run away with it if he stayed healthy. Kamara has incredible individual numbers when he takes on some of the best offensive players in the entire league. That goes back to last year. He does.
It goes. Go ahead.
I was going to say he's 100 or 150-1, but again, can a guy like that really win it?
I don't think so. I don't know. I think I have to look into Kamara a little bit more too, because Zach Cohen, who's our host Harvard Handicappers now, was talking about him in the sense of he has him at first team all defensive team, but he called it the worst ticket I've ever had. So I don't know. I don't know what you want to look at in terms of like the actual granular numbers for him, but Zach was espousing that he does not believe that Kamani, the way he put it was he forgot how to defend. So I think there might be some other underlying metrics that I am not familiar yet with Kamara that would get you there.
Fair enough.
And again, to go back to the whole point, some of these voters are simpletons. They'll just see the 7-footer averaging 9 rebounds and nearly 2 blocks a game and go, that's the guy.
Right.
Anybody else on your list?
No, that's it. That's all I got.
Okay. Let's take a break here. When we come back, I want to do one more thing with hoops, because I do think that there is another awards market that is actually going to feel the ripple effects of Victor Wembanyama's absence. And it has, doesn't have anything to do with any of these players that we're discussing. So I'll tell you who that is and where these shots should be taken in another awards market. So with Wembanyama's absence, there's I think 2 awards markets we should probably discuss here. The first one I think is a little bit of a quicker of a conversation. Coach of the Year. Because Mitch Johnson at one point was favored to win Coach of the Year. The Spurs have taken a few losses. He's kind of slipped. He's now in a 3-way tie at 8-1 with JJ Redick and Eric Spoelstra to win the award. And I actually think they're probably going to take a lot more losses here without Victor Wembanyama. Dylan Harper's obviously hurt too. So if we assume now as well that Mitch Johnson is being mispriced for Coach of the Year, where else is there to look for this award? I don't know. I can't remember if I brought this up to you, if it was just Zach and I talking about this. But to me, Mitch, there's two names that are very much worth it, and it's the two other guys that have the same odds as Mitch Johnson. But specifically for me, Eric Spoelstra has done such a good job so far. And the addition on this staff to go out and change the way they're playing offense, to have it affect and change the way they're playing offensively in a very positive way. Right now, coming in 10th in offensive rating, 110.7 points per 100 possessions. How much do you think this has to factor in at some point? Eric Spoelstra has not won Coach of the Year once in his career, which to me is mind-boggling for what I would consider to be, like, without a doubt, a top 3 coach in the league, and he's probably closer to 1 than he is to 3. If they finish in the top 6, which is a potential thing they could do here, at 8-1, I think Spoelstra is probably worth it, and he should not have the same odds as Mitch Johnson at this point with the absence of Victor Wembanyama.
Okay, I think it's totally fair. I also love what you said. This is not even close to the same Heat team that we have gotten used to watching over the last decade plus.
Yep.
Right? He brought in the assistant from Memphis, and they're like, we're going to change everything. And we're going to go at warp speed, and we're going to get involved in their totals are in the 240s. A Miami Heat team playing totals in the 240s. And oh, by the way, we're recording this on Tuesday morning. Going into the Knicks game on Monday night, they were one of the best teams in the league going over with those high totals. So,
yep.
Awesome job by him. And look at, by the way, what he is. Norman Powell, you and I love this dude, always have. He's having a career year now in Miami. And look at this jump that Jaquez is making already in year number 2, where he is now the short shot to win 6th man of the year. How does that not reflect back on the coaching job here?
100%. Like, at some point, he's got to win this too. I liken it back to, it's not as long of a career, but before Myles Garrett won his first Defensive Player of the Year, I think a lot of us were thinking, like, all right, at some point, like, when are we going to give it to this guy? And then the Browns 2 years ago have a very strong defensive year. He has a strong season, and we're like, all right, cool. Like, here it is. And he wins Defensive Player of the Year. Like, this has got to be one where at some point you're going to win it. And by the way, the other part about the coaching job, we hadn't seen Tyler Hero at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
He's been injured. Bam Adebayo has been dealing with injuries. So if all of a sudden this team maintains its spot, finishes in the top 6, like, this guy's got to be able to win this award. And I'd argue he should probably be up there. I know JB Bickerstaff's up there considering what he's doing up there in Detroit, but and he is the favorite, by the way. But I think Spoelstra should have Coach of the Year. He's got it written all over his resume, by the way. And they're currently 7th to win this award.
Yeah.
And JJ Redick deserves some credit too. They're 10-4 with a plus 1.8 point differential per game. Hasn't really, like, they have every warning sign of a team that's barely hanging on the edge. LeBron's about to come back, but Redick's done a brilliant job too. Both should have better odds than Mitch Johnson at this point to win Coach of the Year.
Yeah, I'm, by the way, 10-1 at FanDuel on Spoelstra.
Ooh, yeah, see that, like that right there? Yes.
Right?
Give it to me right now, and that'll be the addition. By the way, really quickly, 2 things. First of which is we have yet to, every time after the show, you text me and we forget about it. So Jaime Jaquez, is that what you have for 6th man of the year? You've been meaning to talk about this, and we keep forgetting about it.
Yeah, I got that right away after I noticed what this team was playing like, and his numbers were just incredible. So I grabbed him most improved at 99-1, but a bigger bet on 6th man at 35-1 to win it.
Okay.
So I have him, and I have Reed Shepherd, who I bet before the season started. Got up to a slow start, but I got monster numbers on him. He's coming on now. But now this award, the 6th man of the year, has had 3 different favorites already this year, or 4 different favorites. Mitchell from Oklahoma City went from 200-1 to plus 450 in the short shot in a span of 8 days.
Yep.
So that thing's going to change a lot, I think, throughout the season.
The other thing we should mention that involves Victor Wembanyama to an extent, although I never really bought in for his candidacy here, he is now 90-1 to win MVP. Again, I am assuming he's eliminated from award contention. But the other thing we should note here, and it dovetails nicely into some news, is that Giannis Antetokounmpo had a groin injury last night, and so he left the game against Cleveland. We'll see if he misses any time. But Giannis was in the midst of an MVP caliber season. Yeah. He now drifts out to 14-1. This, if we believe the odds, in November, Mitch, is a 3-horse race between Nikola Jokic, who lost at home to Chicago yesterday, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at 2-1, and Luka Doncic at plus 370. And then there's the drop-off of Giannis at 14-1, and then an even steeper drop-off, Tyrese Maxey is at 40-1. I will ask the question, do we really think that no other winner can come out of the pack of Tyrese Maxey and beyond for most valuable player?
I mean, Maxey or Cunningham?
Yeah.
Could Cunningham possibly, now he's missing time as well. Is he going to play 65 plus games? Would he get enough attention to win the award? I just think that they're going to have to overcome those now 3 dudes at the top. But again, look at this. Last week I said they have to overcome 5 guys, and that included Giannis and Wemby.
Mhm.
Well, now Wemby's out. Giannis, again, hurt. He's going to be in and out of the lineup. So now maybe if they keep dropping like this, maybe Cunningham only all of a sudden has to overcome like 2 guys. But
Yeah.
it's going to be so difficult to beat the numbers that Joker's putting up. He's having the best season in the history of the league. And it's not even debatable at this point. And the problem is, again, going back to the award voters, like if the season ended today, Nikola Jokic would have to be the runaway, in my opinion, like the unanimous winner of the award.
Oh, if he wasn't unanimous if it ended today, I'd find the person who didn't vote for him.
Yeah, and what if it was like multiple, right? I mean,
yeah.
So you never know how they're going to look at this. Like a couple years ago, they had to give it to Embiid to tie it into your Spoelstra point. He never won the award before. Let's give it to Embiid. He wasn't the MVP of the league that year. That was Joker again.
And by the way, voters said it that year. Voters said the tiebreaker for them was that he, Embiid, had not won it, and thus he deserved the vote.
Think about how
made me want to rip out my hair.
Yes, it's the silliest thing. These are adults we're talking about here.
Yep.
Dumb narrative,
and my hair is much longer nowadays.
I'm growing mine out. I made that
that's
executive decision here recently.
Join the club.
Yeah.
I got some good lettuce going on now.
Yeah, you got a nice thick head of hair there, pal.
That's right. The mustache is not as thick. I wish I was blessed with a thick stash.
Now, why is this happening, by the way? Did you lose a bet?
Yes. So Stormy and I have show bets every once in a while. So we went head-to-head on Penn State, Oregon. And so my punishment is that I have to participate in No Shave November.
Okay.
So.
Well, hey, look. I am much older than you are. I cannot grow a great mustache. But what I can do is I can grow the handlebar.
Oh, there you go.
And that's a good look. That's a good look for me.
Yeah, see, as you can kind of tell here, as I make the comp all the time, David in the Garden of Eden, you know that picture, the old painting where God is kind of reaching down and they're like almost touching fingertips.
Of course,
to one
yes.
another.
I'm very religious.
Those are that's you can see right here.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You know what I mean? You can see David reaching out just barely, but they're not making contact at all. So that's why I have this.
Okay.
That is very much it. I have no clever segue to where I was going to go from here, from my mustache and beyond. But I will say, you brought up a great point. I think that if there was, and he's not going to get it, but I think if there was a guy I wanted to put my faith in to upend the apple cart, man, last night I watched Tyrese Maxey just give it to my Clippers. That dude is so good.
He's unbelievable.
He's playing over 40 minutes a game. He's averaging nearly 8 assists per game. He could be the leading scorer in the league. And to have to deal with all of the BS of Joel Embiid and Paul George and in and out and who's back and who's not, if he just grabs this team by the scruff of their neck and says, no, we're a top 6 seed in the Eastern Conference because of the way that he plays, like, I don't see why not. He was brilliant again yesterday. He had a moment where he went right at Ivica Zubac. He got him out in space, and he was like, nah, dude, like, I'm just going to get by you and finish with this layup because I'm Tyrese effing Maxey. And he did it. Like, he's so good. And I don't know why he would not get more consideration amongst voters for it. Because to your point, again, Jokic is incredible. And I understand that. And that is a very firm ceiling to break through. But given what Maxey, in terms of what he has on his shoulders, I would heavily consider Maxey still at 50-1.
Yeah. I mean, I love the guy. I brought this up a couple of pods ago, JVT. If you could find that market of, and I don't think it's up right now, maybe it was yanked after the season started, but Zach Cohen, who did this with Wemby, right? I thought Tyrese Maxey to be named first team all NBA would have been the angle.
Yeah.
More than anything else. Like, if you can still find that, I think that would be worth a flyer. But so, is there a world that we live in which the 76ers could win in the neighborhood of 52 to 53, 55 games? They win that division, and he just plays like this for an entire year, and all of a sudden, like, just to get in the mix, and he drops down, and he was 250-1, by the way, not that long ago. And he drops down, and he's there on the odds board, like right with these guys. Is that possible?
I mean, I think it's possible, especially if, and now the big dynamic is going to be whether or not Paul George and Joel Embiid see the writing on the wall and understand that he is their best player now.
Absolutely.
Like, you know, it's the, I've never seen the movie, but what's the Tom Hanks movie? I'm the captain now, right? Like, this is
Captain Phillips.
That needs to be, yeah, there we go. Yeah. Like, that needs to be understood. Like, we can't have this situation where Paul George came back the other night, Embiid maybe makes his way back, and all of a sudden, Tyrese Maxey's usage and his shot attempts are getting eaten into in a very big way. Like, he has to be the engine for this team. And if that means Embiid, you got to get your big ass up and down the floor more. Sorry, dude. That's what we got to do. And Paul George, no, like less ISO possessions, dude. You're now in the flow of the offense because this is our guy. If they can understand that while working their way back from injury, I think this is a team with the depth in their backcourt that they could, in a pretty, weak Eastern Conference, do exactly what you're asking them to do.
I wonder if he can average, like you said, can he lead the NBA in scoring around 33-ish points per game if Luka comes back a little bit? And here's one, too. Could he lead the league in made threes? Takes a ton. Hits a ton.
He hits a ton, yes.
Yeah.
Pulled up from the logo with like 4 minutes left yesterday in a 4-point game, and he nailed it. I was like, oh, my God. They're not even hitting rim. Dude, he's so good. He is so freaking good.
Yeah.
All right, let's take our break. When we come back, let's shift over to football. A couple of other markets we can hit in the National Football League. It was a very big week for some award competitors, if you will. We have a new favorite to win MVP, a rightful favorite at that, what we told you about last week. Some Super Bowl exactas, and one big performance from this rookie has him now in the conversation to win Rookie of the Year. So after a big performance against the Seattle Seahawks, I guess it's a win more than a big performance, but Matthew Stafford is your favorite to win MVP after the Rams take out Seattle over the weekend, Mitch. This is something you and I discussed quite a bit last week, and I made the declarative statement, and I don't think it was a shocking one or anything like that, which was I think Drake May and his status as the favorite for that award was more a symptom of liability than it was actual resume.
Mm-hmm.
And Stafford's resume gets more impressive by the day. He's now plus 135 to win the award. Anything that you would argue with at this point? I mean, it seems pretty clear that he is on path to win this thing. Should he just maintain?
Well, here's my – I have to fight back on this.
Well, because you have Drake May.
No, it's because these are fake markets.
Sure.
Why was Matthew Stafford not plus 135 after the game now 2 games ago?
I agree.
When they killed the 49ers.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't do much at all against the Seahawks. And he goes to plus 135. So let me ask you, if this is, they don't know what they're doing with these odds. They really don't. If Myers makes that field goal and the Seahawks win the game, does Stafford go to the short shot?
No, probably not.
He probably doesn't. See, it's silly, man. It's asinine. Now, again, if the season ended today, should he win the award? 1,000%. He's the MVP of the league right now. But I don't get why he dropped after 140 yards passing and a couple of touchdowns when the offense was kind of stagnant against that awesome Seahawks defense. No, by the way, they were outgained by Seattle by 150 yards or whatever it was in that game.
Sure.
That's my only problem with that.
Of course. I mean, I think I would agree. I think, you're like, it's one of those things where I don't agree with the path that you take, but you ultimately end up with the destination that you should, kind of a deal, which is, I'm with you. Like, that's, he wasn't special, but gets the job done. And as a team, they get it done. So I guess he now deserves to be favored. Again, liability does reflect on this. So is this more a symptom of, okay, this guy's going to be the 1 seed potentially in the NFC. We don't want people to pile on him to win MVP. So thus, let's now make him the short shot at plus 135.
Yeah, because that win, I think, is going to go a long ways towards that, right? And if you're talking about a 13 win or a 14 win, either 1 or a 2 seed, and oh, by the way, going back to Spoelstra never winning the Coach of the Year, Stafford has never won the MVP. This guy feels like a media darling to me.
Might be his last year.
Could be. Kind of a career achievement, but also he deserves it on top of it. So, yeah, there's definitely the thing about my May ticket is that his schedule is just so easy still coming up.
So I'm glad you brought that up. Not even coming up. So I brought this up on Friday when I was solo. How much do you think voters hold against May, not only his schedule coming up, but what it's been? On average, if you just use defensive efficiency, this is very simplistic, but it gives you an idea of what we're talking about here. His average opponent ranks 18th in defensive efficiency this season.
Yeah.
That is how much you're really going to give him credit for being the most important player in the league, the best player in the league, against a schedule like that, when somebody like with the resume of Stafford, where he's hanging up pelts with NFC West opponents and, top-rated teams, and he's beating them, and he's doing a good job outside of the Seahawks game, compared to what May has had to go up against, which has been a lot of nothing.
It's a good question. I mean, will they look at that? Potentially. I would also ask the question, will voters consider who he's throwing the ball to? And there is no JSN, there's no Puka Nacua, there is no Devontae Adams. He has had, I believe, 6 different receivers lead the team in receiving yards in a game so far this year.
Mhm.
And Stephon Diggs this is not exactly 2017 anymore, right? And
Mhm.
beyond that, he doesn't have a star player. Like, he's making it happen with guys we've never heard of before, essentially. So I think that might outweigh anything else negatively that people could point at.
So you've had a read on this. I haven't looked at the updated odds, but I will just say, because this was part of my logic in the thinking that the Patriots might be pretty good. This is just a quick offshoot. Josh McDaniels is a pretty good coach, dude.
Pretty good OC.
Yeah, like I go back to Mac Jones' rookie year. Like I invoked that going into this season where he was that offensive coordinator for Mac Jones' his rookie year, and he got a ton out of him, and they ended up winning 10 games, and they went to the playoffs, and here we are again. McDaniels is a young quarterback that that's all he has to do. You don't need to be head coach. You don't really got to talk to the media. Don't go be a jackass somewhere. Like just focus on being an OC, dude. Mm-hmm. And he just knows how to do it. McDaniels deserves a ton of credit.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. If you want to try being a head coach once and it fails, okay, you gave it a shot. Now go back to doing what you do best. And that's, we can think of countless examples here. Wade Phillips, great DC, horrible head coach. Norv Turner, elite offensive coordinator, one of the worst head coaches we've seen, like consistently year after year, right? At, when teams would win a zillion games in the regular season.
Fangio?
And they would Fangio another one, right?
Yeah.
So I think that absolutely ties in and is fitting for him. May is, by the way, and we talked about this a couple of pods ago, I grabbed him at 16-1 most passing yards. Looks like he's between 5 and 9-1 now to lead the league. So shop around if you still want to get involved. But again, that's super easy schedule. He leads by about 150 yards. Hasn't had the bye.
Yeah. He hasn't had the bye. Also, he might have another bye in week 18 because they might not need to play.
Possible.
So that's if they have the 1 seed wrapped up by the time they get to week 18, then who knows what's going to happen there. That might be worth throwing into your brain as you're talking about betting that.
It's possible. I think Denver's going to give him a good run for the 1 seed.
Indy might too. Indy's schedule is brutal though. Yeah. So, well, to your point, and that's a better rebuttal, which is you have 2 teams that are on their heels that only have 2 losses.
Yeah, correct.
They're going to push them for that. Yeah. So, dude, wouldn't that be great if week 18 it comes down to 3 2-loss teams and all of them have to play for the 1 seed? That would be cool.
I would love that. I don't
remember the last time we've seen something like that.
Okay, but at this stage of the game, though, right? We've talked about this. It's kind of a common thing weekly. How many guys is it down to now to win the MVP? Josh Allen got a big bump this game. ESPN.com Monday morning front page said overreactions to the week. Now they said that.
Yeah.
They tagged it with that, but they also said Allen for MVP ? One game does not win an MVP.
Right.
So I'm not going to put him in the mix. I think it's at this point, it's 3 dudes. It's Matt Stafford and your guy Jonathon Taylor.
I would say so.
Okay.
With Josh Allen potentially the horse on the outside that has the potential to close strong, but I don't think he will.
Yeah, and I'm not grabbing him at the current number.
No, I would definitely agree. All right, I mentioned a rookie that had a strong performance. Come on down, Teteroa McMillan. What a day!
I'm going to go to Hoover Dam if he wins the award.
What a day for Teteroa McMillan on Sunday against the Atlanta Falcons. For those that missed it, McMillan, who we've discussed before in terms of, hey, look at him. He's on the periphery. He's like 10 to 12-1. He's performing pretty well. But over the weekend, McMillan against Atlanta in overtime, 12 targets, 8 receptions, 130 yards, 2 touchdowns, a long of 39. He has been rock solid for Carolina all year long. Don't let that one performance fool you. He's been their best receiver all season long. He's on pace for over 1,100 yards and just about 6 or 7 touchdowns. He's freaking good, man. And I think that there might be something here for him to kind of come up on Emeka Egbuka or some of these others and steal Offensive Rookie of the Year. We'll see what Dart, of course, gets injured. Jameis Winston was fine in the game against Green Bay, so I don't know if that makes the Giants think about whether or not they want to shelf Dart a little bit more because it's a lost season, whatever it is. But McMillan is going to be pretty dangerous, and he leaps ahead of my guy, Tyler Warren, to win Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Should he?
I don't think so. You know how I felt about this. I've said 1,000 times on this show, if you actually evaluate Tyler Warren's rookie season, he has had a very strong year with the way the Colts use him, what is asked of him, that he runs the ball. He's in the backfield taking snaps. He's obviously a good receiver. He's one of their best run blockers by PFF grading standpoint. Like, he is a well-rounded and all-around player. Having said that, do you trust that voters actually view that, or will they just see, hey, he's only got 600 and whatever yards receiving, which, by the way, he's over his receiving yard prop for the season.
That's right.
Good for him. But like, I think voters will just see that and not give it to him. But I think if you actually evaluate it, it's a much closer race than the odds indicate.
Yeah, and by the way, with McMillan, now we're talking about, forget playoffs, we're talking about a potential division-winning Carolina Panthers team.
Yep.
Because the Rams, check that, the Buccaneers get the Rams this week, and they have some tough games coming up. And that defense now, wow, has it been bad. And, oh, by the way, Mayfield, not exactly lighting the world on fire, and that impacts my guy, Emeka Egbuka, big time.
Yep.
So when it comes to something like this, and it's, the gap has closed, we have plenty of football games for somebody like McMillan to come out of, I'm not going to call it nowhere, but he was like 35-1 last week and take down this award. Although, again, I'll go back to May's easy schedule with the Patriots. Maybe Travion Henderson is a guy who steals it.
Sure. Henderson right now is 12-1 to win the award.
Yeah. 5 touchdowns last 2 games.
Yep. Dude, he's explosive. That dude looks like he gets shot out of a cannon. When he gets those breakaway runs, it's crazy.
Oh my God, he's a missile.
Yeah.
Coming out of the backfield. So,
and similar to what we're talking about too, I think I feel pretty confident in saying, like, there's like, if you're considering somebody for this award, we're talking one of 5 guys here. It's Egbuka, it's Dart, it's McMillan, it's Warren, and it's Henderson.
Right.
And I think I'm willing to draw a line in Sharpie and say these are our 5 guys we're working with down the stretch.
Okay, one more here to go, because we talked Defensive Player of the Year in the NBA. We have to talk about this just for a second here with the NFL. Is it even worth our time bringing up anybody else in the league not named Myles Garrett, or is that just wasting our time and wasting money?
I think it's a waste of time.
Okay.
I think you texted me on Sunday. I think it was, I'm paraphrasing, Defensive Player of the Year was decided today.
What if he has 25 sacks? It's absurd.
It could be.
I can't get over how good this guy is.
Yep. I'm with you. And dude, he was not the reason, but he's mainly the reason why the Ravens were having such a tough time in that game.
Oh my God, absolutely.
Him and Carson Schlesinger.
Yeah, our guy. Well, we can get that one. Let's get that one, okay?
Come on, dude. I just need one of these things.
I know.
You know what I mean? Like,
I know.
I can't have nice things. Give me one. As I openly said on the air yesterday, like, God, I don't ask for anything, okay? If I can get one thing in your busy schedule, give me Carson Schlesinger to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. All right, let's take a break. We're up against it. When we come back, let's open it up and let's talk about some big picture futures. I got a great gift last week. I'll tell you what it is and how it ties into what we're going to look at here for some Super Bowl exactas. So, do you give gifts to Paulie Howard on his birthday, Mitch Moss?
No, because he doesn't really. I know where it lands in the calendar, but I'm never exactly sure which day it is, and he doesn't say anything. So
this is not one to get well wishes here, because Mitch and I have known each other for about, I don't know, 10 years or so now?
At least.
Probably has no idea when my birthday is.
I think you just had it, right?
Yes, I most recently had it, and my co-host, Stormy Bonatoni, gave me this for my birthday. I have a ticket I am holding up for our audio audience on the Colts to win the Super Bowl at 11-1. So it was a wonderful gift. Now I have something to root for the Indianapolis Colts outside of fandom.
Nice.
I bring this up because I want to ask you, would you include the Indianapolis Colts in any Super Bowl exactas now that we, not 100%, but we do have the Titan that is the Kansas City Chiefs on life support to make the playoffs in the AFC?
It would be one team I would consider. Like, I would look at the Colts in an exacta ticket rather than the Bills. The Bills' defense is not going to be good enough to get them there. I firmly believe that. So I think it's, if the Chiefs, can I say this? If the Chiefs get in, they're the team to beat, ? In the AFC?
I mean, you have to. I hate to say it, but you have to. Just considering the history.
So if the Broncos get home field and they have to win 2 games and teams have to go there and play.
Yeah.
Like, that defense is going to be so difficult to beat. And I will say this about Bo Nix, a guy who I don't think he's a very good quarterback. He's not having a very good year. But my God, JVT, in the fourth quarter or when the game is tight and it's on the line, I don't even know how to quantify this, but the dude plays his best football late in games. I
can't in good conscience say I'm betting on that. You know what I mean? It's so unsustainable. You can't. But Stormy brought this point up when we were talking about this, and she immediately rebutted to me. You know, the team they beat did it last year. They won like every one-score game. They just turned it on in the fourth quarter. And granted, they got their asses kicked in the Super Bowl, but they made it to the Super Bowl.
That's exactly right. And now it's funny because they actually have better numbers this year across the board, but they're 0-5 in the one-score games,
Yep.
and they're on the outside looking in. Also, like, level of concern here with Lamar Jackson?
Sure.
Gotta be.
I mean, he's hurt. He's
Yes.
pretty dinged up this year, clearly. Doesn't look like the same player offensively. I would say 100%. Like, I have this Ravens at 7-1. I added them last week to win the AFC. I think we talked about it. But you like, that is a worrying performance. I mean, come on.
Okay, so are we going to draw a line through the Patriots?
Okay, so I'm glad you brought this up because we are tight here, but I needed to talk to this because this was the two topics to me on Friday last week that I brought up coming out of that Jets game. It was Drake May in the MVP race, and it's, do you trust the Patriots legitimately to win an AFC and to win a Super Bowl? I eventually landed on not really. There's a couple of things, and I called this, and this is going to be obvious because he's the head coach. How is this not, though, the quintessential Mike Vrabel team, where you're talking about a team that is taking advantage of a very soft schedule, but if you dig under the hood for like 5 seconds, you realize like, oh, he's just like coaching the hell out of these guys, and they just really care, and they're doing a good job. They get credit for it, but there's a lot of different flaws you could point to and say, oh, like, yeah, like this team probably can't sustain this. Against one of the easiest schedules in the NFL, they're still about 13th in defensive efficiency. They're 19th against the pass. That's not particularly great. When you look at their offense, one of the things that really stuck out to me, Mitch, was they are not awful. They're 22nd in success rate on early downs, but they're 8th in success rate on third downs. So you have this heavy reliance on converting these unlikely third downs on offense, which probably in a postseason series against better competition doesn't really hold up. So maybe winning the 1 seed really helps you out. But I think if you dig under the hood for 5 seconds, it's not that they're a terrible team, but I will easily take like 4 teams against ahead of New England to win the whole thing in the AFC.
Yeah, that's kind of like the Commanders last year in fourth down. They went for it all the time,
right.
And they got it like higher than an 80% clip for a full year. That's just unheard of. I would also like to tell you that I think the NFC is more difficult to find the team that you want to identify and place on an exacta.
Sure, because they're all good.
I mean, my power rating on the Seahawks went up.
Yes.
It went up after losing that game. So there's that. Also, I think that we can make a case the Rams are the most complete team in the league. But this Philadelphia, I'm telling you right now, JBT, I've said this now for 2 weeks on Follow the Money. In a month and a half, come playoff time, we're going to be talking about the Eagles as the best defense in the entire league.
We should be talking about them now. They're incredible. And I think I said this to you. I've said it. It's not just him, but the addition of Phillips is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're so stout up front. This is a front that is akin to the one they had last year. How do you cover up a hole at your second corner spot where Adoree Jackson's playing for you? You get a monster pass rush who's going to be able to just dominate games with 4 dudes. And that's exactly what they have again.
Yep. They scare the daylights out of me. As somebody holding a Rams future from back in March, that's a team I don't want LA to see in the post. Well, I careful what I wish for. I don't want the Rams to go to Philadelphia in January.
They don't have to go. Yep.
So
would you play any exacta?
I would if I do it right now, and now the best numbers are gone, but the 2 teams I'd look at in the AFC would be the Colts or the Broncos. And in the NFC, just because I'm so heavy on the Rams, I would look at maybe tying in some other teams that I think could actually come out of there. And the 2 teams with the best chance at this point, I think, would be Seattle or Philadelphia. I'm not buying Green Bay. Detroit, I really want to like. They might not even make the playoffs at this point.
Yep.
So I'm not going to get crazy. I'm not going to do anything like the Bears. They're not going to win it. Tampa Bay, no way are they going to win it. So I would circle there maybe those 2 teams in the NFC.
Also a little hardcore here, but I kind of projecting out as we have discussed at the NFC. I feel like if I'm going to play some of these, I'd play them with the NFC team beating the AFC team because I think most of them would be favored.
Agreed.
So, for example, like if you like Colts-Rams, I would play Rams to beat the Colts at 30-1 because the Colts will probably be the dog there, and then you can do something with that when you get there.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Oh,
Does that make sense?
I mean, there are a handful of teams in the NFC, right, on a neutral field that would have to be favored over the entire AFC field right now.
Yeah. Now, I will say for Indy, the last note here in our last 45 seconds, they might be getting healthy on defense. Charvarius Ward and DeForest Buckner should be coming back at some point. Sauce Gardner played really well in Germany. That all of a sudden does look like a formidable defense on paper.
Yeah.
If Sauce Gardner is like his old self.
Well, we're going to find out a lot this week about that team.
Yes. This week, the next couple of weeks, that schedule is a bear.
Imagine they go to KC and Jonathan Taylor puts up his typical game this year. 140 and 2 touchdowns, and they win the game.
Yep. Oh, man, it's great. All right. We're up against it. But remember, like, rate, review, subscribe. Awesome episode. I think we left a lot on the cutting room floor. There's a ton to get to. Of course, follow the money and myself over on Money Moves and check out everything we have to offer and sign up for the specials up at VSiN.com/subscribe. All the work and all of our pods as well as part of the VSiN podcast family. And we will talk to you next week here on Pod to the Futures.